Hi, my name is David, and I'm going to walk you through how I solved the CSWA practice problem 6.4. Alright, so the strategy we're going to use here is to first create this bottom part by making this inner circle with diameter 56, then make the outer circle and make the distance between those 33. Then make all these little circles, which have a diameter of 7.33, and there are 12 of them wrapped around. And then we're going to extrude to create this bottom plate. Then what we're going to do is add the fillets in. We're going to add a few fillets so that we're going to have this bottom part mirrored to across a plane that we're going to create the top part. And then for the middle part, we're just going to draw a couple of concentric circles and then rotate about an axis that we're going to have to create that goes through this point. And that'll create the tube part to connect the top and the bottom. Alright, well, let's get started. So we'll start with the top plane. Create that first circle, diameter 56. Create the outer circle and make the distance between them 33. Okay, and then we're going to add those little circles. So let's create a center line that goes up so we can create the top little circle and have the center in the right place. Oops. Okay, and then if you look over here, the distance between the center of one of those little circles to the outer edge is 11. So let's do that. Here to here is 11. Okay, so that's fully defined. So now we're going to take that circle and make copies of it going around. So we're going to copy this. I already figured out which direction to copy it. There are 12 of those. But they're not quite locked down. If you try dragging one around, you can drag it around. There we go. Couldn't quite drag it. So we have to lock down a couple of things. One way to do it is to make sure that this circle is horizontal to this origin, and then make sure that this circle is vertical to this origin. That locks everything down. There are probably other ways to do it, but that seemed a pretty simple way to me. Then we can extrude up 11. And there's the bottom part. Now we're going to add our fillets, and the fillets are going to have radius 2. We're going to add a fillet to this circle, and then the one on the bottom. We're not going to add a fillet yet to this circle right here. This one, I'll just highlight it. We're not going to add a fillet to that one just yet, because if we did it now, it's going to take away, it's going to like cut away from our solid. But we actually want the fillet that's around this circle to be adding to our solid. So we need to make sure that we have our tube, or like curved connecting tube. We need to make that first before we fillet this circle. Alright, so let's talk about how we're going to make that tube. Well, what we can do is start in this plane that's on the top here, make a sketch, and draw the circles that we're going to need for that tube. So the first one is going to go out to here, 56. So we'll go ahead and make 56. And then the second one is going to go out here. And the distance between these is 11. We can see that right here. The distance between the inner circle and the outer circle is going to be 11. All right, and we're fully defined so far. Let's go ahead and start making what we need for creating that axis to be able to rotate this little tubular part about. So we're going to create a center line that just goes to the right, or sorry, to the left. get my get my directions correct. And we'll just create the center line there. Let's go ahead and make sure that it is horizontal. Okay, there we go. And let's take a look to see how far away we need it. So basically, we just created a center line from here going out this direction. So what we want is we want this point of the center line to be 78 from this outer circle right here. So let's make that constraint. And it didn't seem to make the horizontal constraint, so let me make sure that that's, there we go. Okay, now it's horizontal. I see it now. All right, so we want this point to be, let me do shift. So hold down shift so it actually goes to the outer part of the circle as opposed to being on the inner part of the circle. And then now we can click and we've got 78. Okay, so the distance from that axis of rotation that we're going to create and this circle is 78. That's what we need. Okay, and then we're also going to want to have that axis of rotation, and I found that it's nice to make it in 2D because then we can lift it into the 3D like axis pretty easily. I'll go ahead and double click to exit the sketch. And we have to do this, I noticed, before we use the sketch in a revolve extrusion. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but in the revolve boss base dealy. So if we use it, if we do the revolve first, then when we try to turn this center line into an axis of rotation, like this kind of axis, then we're not able to do that. At least I can't figure out how to do that. But if we instead create the axis first, while we still have access to this center line, right? If you just have a plain old sketch with no features attached to it, or it's not part of any feature, then you still have access to it. Like you can still see it when you're looking at things in 3D. And so let's go ahead and create that axis right now. We can select the center line, hit enter, and basically the axis is like a copy of that center line at this point. But now if we take this sketch, now we can do the revolve boss base. So we're going to rotate about this axis of revolution. We don't want it all the way around, we just want it 38 degrees. And there we go, we've got our tube. All right, so the last thing we have to do, or second to last thing we have to do, is copy this bottom part up to the top. And to do this, we're going to mirror about a plane that we're going to create that goes through this axis, but it's at a 38-degree angle from this surface right here. So we can create that plane. We'll go to Reference Geometry Plane. And the first reference will have this axis. Kind of looks like it's already in the right place, amazingly. Oh, not quite exactly what we want. And then we're going to reference this plane. And then rather than being perpendicular to this plane through this axis, we want to be at a 38 divided by 2 angle from this plane to this axis. So we're going to change the angle, and looks like I already did that math here, but you can do 38 divided by 2. And that's exactly the plane that we want to be mirroring this about. All right. So now all we have to do is take this feature and also the fillets that we added to it. So I did shift click to select both and mirror about this plane. And now we've got this copy of the two right where we want it. So there's just one last thing to do. Let me go ahead and hide the axis and hide the plane. So there's one more thing to do, which is to add those fillets that we needed to add. One, looks like we already have 2 millimeters, so one right here, and then one right here. Okay, and it looks like we're done. Now, one thing is this volume is slightly different. I don't know what to make of that. It looks pretty decent as the part goes. So we get 370327, 328 technically, if we rounded. And here we have 370322. So maybe a little bit off, but I think you can be close within a certain percentage. I tried playing around with changing the precision of this value because it looks like it is a repeated decimal. This is like 7/1/3 is what it looks like. But it didn't seem to help with this number here. It just made it smaller than this number. So I'm not exactly sure what to make of it. I'll probably kick it off to Design with Roozbe to figure out the mystery of why this is coming out different. Or maybe it's just something that I did wrong. I'm not sure, but I think everything looked okay. So anyway, hope this video was helpful. If you're again looking for something more professional, look for that guy that makes the YouTube channel Design with Roozbe. He does an awesome job at breaking everything down and going into all the details. So take care and keep studying.